channel. First of all, how is it already October 1st? I feel like this year completely flew by, but I'm so excited for fall since it's my favorite season, and I'm super excited for Halloween too. So I decided to DIY some Halloween decor using items from the dollar store, but I wanted to make these pieces a little bit more aesthetic and sophisticated compared to what you might find in stores. And let me tell you, I'm so happy with how all these projects turned out, and I cannot wait to share them with you guys. So make sure you stay tuned for the rest of the video and give it a thumbs up if you enjoy it. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more DIY and home decor projects. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. For the first project, I decided to give two plastic skulls that I got from Target's Halloween section a facelift. I have nothing against the basic and classic skull decorations for Halloween, but this is just not my style, and I'm always looking for creative ways to transform pieces to something more unique that you can't really find at any store. I started by removing the price tags from the skulls and lightly sanded both pieces with 220 grit sandpaper. This will help paint stick better to the surface in later steps. Now I got these two skulls, one for $5 and the other one for $10 from Target, only because my local dollar store didn't have any in stock. I know that a lot of Dollar Trees do sell them around Halloween time, so if you decide to recreate this project, definitely check there first. But you can also get similar ones from your local craft store or seasonal Halloween store. After sanding, I took the skulls out in our garage and used the flat black spray paint by Rust-Oleum and gave them a first coat of paint. I've had this spray paint from previous project, and I decided to go with matte black because I think this is going to really elevate the look of these pieces. You can also use acrylic paint if you prefer or don't have any spray paint on hand, but make sure to customize the color to your taste. I let the first coat dry for about 30 minutes. I turned the skulls upside down and spray painted them with a second coat. This is just to make sure all the curves and crevices are covered. I then let them fully dry for about an hour. Once the spray paint was dry, I brought the skulls back in my DIY studio for the next steps. So I had picked up a couple branches of faux roses from the Dollar Tree in purple and black for this project. I just really like the colors, and they honestly look like more expensive faux flowers that you'd find at Michael's or Hobby Lobby. Anyways, for the first skull, I decided to stick to purple roses. I cut the roses off the branch and started playing with their arrangement on the head of the skull. I ended up with 6 purple roses for this piece, and I hot glued each one in place from the middle of the head towards the left. I just thought it looked cool like this, but you can definitely place them wherever you want and use as many or as little roses as you want. I also decided to stick another purple rose in one of the eyes, and that completed the design for the first skull. For the second one, I used 5 black roses and 1 purple rose in the middle and hot glued them all right on top of the head of the skull. That finished off this first Dollar Tree Halloween decor DIY, and I'm so obsessed with how these skulls turned out. I think they're so aesthetic, and I love the black and purple color combination for Halloween. In the second project, I created a Halloween wreath using some twigs from our back patio. You guys know I'm always finding and using wooden sticks for my projects, but I needed a lot more this time for this DIY. So for the first step, you need to go to your backyard or a nearby park and just collect a variety of twigs. I picked up a lot of thinner ones for this project to keep the wreath lightweight at the end, and I also think they just look better for this particular DIY. I came back to my DIY studio and started arranging these twigs in a hexagon form. I used 6 longer and thicker branches to build the base of the wreath and build up on that afterwards. Once I was happy with the arrangement, I hot glued the adjoining points of all the twigs and held them in place for a few seconds to make sure they're secure. Once the base was built, I repeated the same steps with more twigs to build the hexagon wreath form. I don't know why, but I really enjoyed this process and just playing around with different branches to see what looks better on what side. Maybe because it's kind of like a puzzle and I love puzzles. Anyways, there's really no right or wrong way to do this, so if you decide to recreate this piece, just have fun with it and it will look great regardless. In the next step, I took the hexagon wreath in the garage and used the same matte black spray paint as the last project to give it 2 full coats, making sure to let the paint fully dry in between. After the paint was dry, I could really envision the design that I had in mind for this wreath. I took the wreath back inside and began styling it with some black spider webs and faux red roses, and I got both of these from the Dollar Tree. I took the spider webbing out of the packaging and laid it on the left side of the wreath. I played around with the placement and then cut the excess off with my scissors. There was no need to glue the spider web to the wreath because I was able to secure it to the twigs in a few places, and it's definitely not going anywhere. After that, I placed 5 red roses over the webbing on the bottom section of the wreath and hot glued them down. I wanted to keep this Halloween wreath looking scarce and minimal, and that's why I only added details to one half of it. I definitely wanted the spray painted twigs to show in the end and not be buried by flowers or webbing, as I think that's the key element to making this wreath spooky. But as always, make sure to personalize it to whatever you think looks best. In the last step, I tied a small piece of spray painted jute rope around one of the top twigs so I can actually hang this wreath. That completed this second Dollar Tree Halloween decor DIY, and I love how this hexagon wreath turned out. I think the black and red color palette screams Halloween, and I'm so happy that I was able to achieve this high-end look with just a couple of dollars. Alrighty guys, for the last project, I created drip candle holders using 2 different glass jars from the Dollar Tree. I picked different jars because I thought that the height variation will look a lot nicer when decorating on a shelf or a table. But you can pick up a couple of the same size glass jars as well, especially if you plan to create a centerpiece with this DIY. I started by roughing up the surface of this small glass jar with 220 grit sandpaper. You guys know the drill already, this will just help glue and paint adhere better later on. After that, I used hot glue to create the drip patterns on the glass. For each drip, I would start at the top of the glass and work downwards. I also made sure to have more hot glue at the top and decrease the amount as I got to the end of each drip to make it look as realistic as possible. I repeated the same process over and over, going around the whole glass jar, creating different height drip patterns. Once I finished creating the pattern on the small glass jar, I set it aside and moved on to the taller glass vase. I repeated the exact same steps with this piece too. After both glass jars had the pattern on them, I decided to go over it with another round of hot glue drip pattern just to make it really stand out. You can stick to one round or you can do 3 or 4 if you really want to exaggerate the drip pattern. In the next step, I spray painted both of these glass jars with matte black spray paint. And yes, I know that I used the same spray paint in all 3 projects in this video, but that was the theme I was going for. I wanted to tie in all these Halloween decor pieces together with the black at the core of each design. But make sure to personalize the colors to your taste and use acrylic paint if that's what you have on hand. I did the first coat, let them dry for 30 minutes, turned them upside down, and went in for a second coat. The second coat was especially important in this project to make sure I get in all the cracks and small spaces in between the drips. I then let them completely dry for an hour before proceeding to the next steps. I had some popsicle sticks left from a previous project that I had also bought from the dollar store. I used these pieces to create a ledge inside each of the glass jars. This ledge is basically going to hold the LED tea lights. So I measured the diameter of each jar and cut the popsicle sticks to size with my scissors. I spray painted these with the same matte black as well. Once they were dry, I started hot gluing 3 popsicle sticks close together inside each glass jar. I made sure to hold each one in place for about a minute until the hot glue was dry to avoid it from falling inside the jar. Once the ledge was created, I placed one black LED tea light from the dollar store on it and realized that it's either broken or faulty. But you get the idea here. I will definitely exchange these for hopefully working LED tea lights next time I'm there. With that said, this concludes the last Dollar Tree Halloween decor DIY. I think these drip candle jars came out really cute and I can't wait to style them alongside the other decorations. I hope that you enjoyed these Halloween decor DIYs and got inspired to create some cool pieces for yourself. Let me know in the comments below which one of these 3 projects was your favorite, and as always, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll catch you in my next video. Bye!